Hello and welcome to the 2021 French GP strategy analysis for the Drivers' Championship, which at this stage of the season is Hamilton versus Verstappen. So we'll look through the strategy comparison for the two drivers, position movements and race pace, and what a fantastic race to do a strategy analysis on. So let's dig in. So first up, looking at the strategy comparison, and as I'm sure we all know, Verstappen doing the two-stopper and getting the better result in the end versus Hamilton sticking to the one-stopper. And look, for a while there, it looked like Verstappen might not get him, but he got him with a lap and a half to go and relatively comfortable at that. And there's a single point, and I know I've made this in the other videos as well, Mercedes waiting that extra lap to pit Hamilton when they could have pitted him on the same lap at Verstappen, about 2.5 seconds ahead. So even having an allowance for a pit stop error to keep ahead of Verstappen, for me, that really cost them the victory because that undercut by Verstappen ended up being very strong and, as we know, very pivotal to the actual end result. And also kudos to Red Bull making the call to do the two-stopper. Definitely didn't want a repeat of Spain happening to them, and they made it relatively quickly if you look at the length of the hard stop stint. And I think they knew that if Hamilton pitted first, he was probably going to be able to undercut Verstappen, hence the need to do that. So if we look at the position here, as we know, Hamilton taking the lead after the second corner, then getting undercut by Verstappen, and then towards the end there, Verstappen able to get ahead of Hamilton. So looking at the outlap, this, for me, explains why the undercut could work so well for Verstappen. It works for a lot of people in the race, Ricciardo, Leclerc, but Verstappen obviously had the biggest impact to the race overall. This is the outlap. Verstappen 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton almost. And don't get me wrong, Hamilton did come out right behind Verstappen. So as a result, definitely got slowed down from that. But the outlap from Verstappen was absolutely flying. And Bottas, to his credit, did a great job on his outlap as well, which is why he was so close to Hamilton right as Hamilton came out of the pits. But Verstappen first stop there, Verstappen second stop there, and then Raikkonen, and then a big jump up even to Perez. So that's why the undercut worked so well. Verstappen absolutely smashed the outlap. So let's have a look at the race pace and what a graph this is. So initially, as we know, Hamilton, if he's ahead, it's up here, Verstappen ahead down here. Hamilton having a relatively comfortable lead here, out to 2.5, almost 3 seconds when Verstappen pits. And the thing is, Mercedes tried to undercut Verstappen with Bottas for a similar margin. So the fact that Verstappen pitted one lap before Hamilton and Mercedes thought it was going to work for them against Verstappen, I still don't understand why they didn't pit Hamilton the lap after Bottas. But as you can see here, Verstappen getting ahead and actually really extending out the lead here. And I think from two perspectives, this would have given Red Bull the indication that Hamilton may have been struggling from his tyres. And I think also from Red Bull's perspective, if Hamilton was starting to lose pace, that probably would have encouraged Mercedes to do the two-stopper. So I think that's why they had to pull the trigger when they did, and relatively early, but they needed to be the first ones. And then we saw once Verstappen was out on the track again, chunking away 2 seconds a lap initially. Then that slowed a little bit. And this period here, for a while, that gap was just sitting at 5 seconds. And that was really, I think, kind of back markers for Verstappen having to make his way through once he got past Bottas and preserving his tyres a little bit. And then right at the end there, took him with 1.5 laps to go. Fantastic job. Executed perfectly by both Verstappen and Red Bull. So having a look here at the lap times, including the pit stops, we can see really equal at the start there. Verstappen having 1 lap, where it's a little bit slower, but otherwise relatively equal. And you can see here the difference in terms of both the outlap, but then also the in-lap as well. Verstappen significantly quicker ahead on both of them, and that was really the difference. Here, really relatively consistent performance from both of them, but one thing definitely worth noting is Hamilton's pace is actually starting to increase in lap time each lap, and obviously really when those three came out, they were firing all cylinders on those tyres, and I think that really led to the end impact here. We see the last 5 or 6 laps. Mercedes knew this was going to happen. Hamilton's pace really decreased those last 5 laps, which is when Verstappen was able to get it done. And I just want to zoom in here. So this is after the second pit stop. How much quicker Verstappen was, 2 seconds a lap, more than 2 seconds a lap at times. And even through here, even when Verstappen really had fired up those tyres the first 5 or 6 laps and then had a bit of wear to them, even then, still half a second ahead. And this was the series where it looks like Verstappen might not be able to catch up, but then from there, Verstappen was able to find a little bit more pace. Not a lot, but really the telltale thing was Hamilton got about a second a lap slower after that. The last 5 to 6 laps, which Mercedes said was always going to happen, but proof in the pudding, it definitely did. And then here, looking at the lap pace, first stint, very, very similar. Through the pit stops, very similar out of the pit stops. And remember, Hamilton was in DRS range for quite some time there. Then Hamilton just ever so slightly slower. That's actually when Red Bull made the decision to pit. And then once Verstappen came back out, absolutely fine. And there's 2 laps where he was slightly slower than Hamilton, but he's consistently a second, 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton the whole time. And then looking at the histogram, that's meant to be Verstappen there, but we all know that. Verstappen quicker on the left-hand side, Hamilton quicker on the right-hand side. You can see here the histogram, just consistently Verstappen much, much quicker across Hamilton the whole race. And don't get me wrong, this is definitely skewed by the fact Verstappen had 2 pit stops, so as a result he had a lot more laps where he was about a second quicker or just within a second quicker. But wow, these laps out here, these were the key ones, in between 1.7 and 2 seconds quicker than Hamilton. So that is a wrap. That's the Drivers' Championship strategy analysis from the French Grand Prix. What a great race it was. If you want to check out more videos including each team, check out the playlist for French Grand Prix. If you liked the video, thumbs up. Want to see more, hit the subscribe button. Any comments, feel free to pop them in. Excellent. Thank you.